Okay, I'm going to start anyway because we have an hour and I have a lot to say. My name is Jeroen van der Holst, the Community Director of ETIM International. ETIM has played a part in my career since the late 90s. I'm here together with my colleague Mark Habets, our Technical Director, who will be assisting with the lobby and chat box. And as you can see, he's very busy at the moment to let everybody in. Nevertheless, I'm going to start. So today is the start of a series of webinars we'd like to organize from time to time. And we are with a large number of participants in the meeting room. Therefore, to keep things manageable, we have muted all your microphones and we advise you to keep your cameras off. So we are sure that nothing will break. And today we'll start with the fundamental basics. First of all, a short introduction of ETIM International and the ETIM standards. We will talk about the essence of product data exchange. We will talk about product classification and what it means to have it in your business. We will touch up on some typical use cases, and we will clarify the governance of the standards, how we organize that. And questions can be posted in the chat, and we will save them for after the presentation for the sake of keeping things tidy today. Presentations will be shared. We will record this session. So let's get on with it. So what is ETIM? ETIM stands for ETIM Technical Information Model. ETIM is a set of open standards that are managed by its users. It comprises of a classification standard for technical products, a standard that describes a file format for exchanging product data, and it has a classification standard extension for geometric data. We are active in 5 sectors that evolve around construction and installation. We have chapter organizations that represent these sectors in around 23 countries. It took us over 35 years to build this database and the network of organizations supporting this. Product classification is nothing more than a taxonomy, which is similar to categorizing the animal world or library books, but we do it with technical products. We have now come to describe over 5,640 product families using over 17,000 individual feature descriptions. And last time we checked our Google Analytics pages, we saw that over 44,000 individual experts from around 150 countries actively consult our data model. We are actively collaborating with over 50 industry and trade associations. And our standards have been implemented in hundreds of applications and platforms. Looking at our history, ETIM has been around for a while. The initiative started as a project of an installers association in the Netherlands in 1991. It took 15 years to become internationally active, starting with 6 countries. But that number tripled in the second 15 years. In the last 5 years, ETIM International has expanded its operations to support ETIM Exchange and ETIM modeling classes as complementary standards. Now that we have introduced ourselves properly, you might think, so what? What are you making such a fuss about standardizing the exchange of product data? What is it that cannot be solved with diligent and clever use of Office 365? Well, that's what I would like to explain right now. Let's start by explaining that what is the place of the product data exchange in the supply chain. I drew a very simplified version of a construction supply chain, as you can see. And if you would like to be profitable in that supply chain, you would need to move a lot of product, right? And a lot of products are needed to build a building, and with all its installations, with all its things in it. And for this to happen, to move product, you need to persuade your customers to send in purchase orders that originate from the constructional and engineering designs. But here's the catch. People can only order the right product once they have your product information to choose from. And just the description and price is not enough. Technical features need to match with the technical requirements as specified by the contractors, engineers, and architects. So that puts product information on the top of this food chain, right? But there are also some conflicting trends we need to take a look at. Planning of a construction project is getting more detailed with things like building information modeling, but it takes multiple years until all contracts are signed and permits have been granted. In the meantime, on the other hand, research and development departments are significantly speeding up their time to market, while product diversification goes into next levels. This abundance of choice needs to be managed. That is why the demand for high-quality product data is booming. We have come to realize that poor quality product data results in failure cost. Credit notes, liability claims, project stalling, additional work, and above all, bad sales and profit figures. And good quality product data can boost your sales and profitability. Let me explain further. There are some key performance indicators that are often overlooked because they are hard to measure, because they deal with negative experiences. But these indicators can mean the world for your sales and profit figures. How much sales value, for instance, is credited at the end of the month? What if you could cut that number in half? How much does it cost to process a return shipment? And what is the impact on the environment of that? What are the costs of additional work on construction sites to fix work that has to be replaced, redone, using the right products instead of the wrong ones? And what is the value of settlements with customers to manage the relationship or because of legal consequences? What is the value of hours spent by customer service employees making apologies and trying to fix problems, while they could be doing activities that could help increase your sales figures? And if you look for surveys on failure cost on the internet, failure cost in construction, they all show significant savings potentials and the same root cause, a lack of communication and data management practices. People just don't know what to buy. And let's continue on our analysis. In this slide, I've set up a very simplified business chain of a couple of manufacturers, wholesalers, and contractors doing work for housing corporation on building owners. The contractor needs digital product information for their procurement and work planning. They need to know what they can buy from the manufacturers, so they need information from the manufacturers so that they know what they can order at the wholesalers. But the wholesalers need product data for their ERP systems and e-commerce platforms so they can actually sell it. The manufacturers, they try to keep up with all demand for information. And if all try to share information by flexing their Office 365 skills, what you get is that everybody needs to process different file structures and formats for each interaction within the business chain. But also, there's no guarantee whatsoever in terms of validity of the information. Are products still available? Are the products still technically compatible for my system or building? And data managers end up converting, editing, manually entering data, calling up suppliers to validate information, and they constantly need to fact-check technical features. And this situation is setting us up for failure cost and inefficient work. And the manufacturer has no control over the product information that is shared and used further up the chain. But people, there's hope. Let us dive into product classification's core concepts. First of all, let me get this straight. ETIM is not a database. We are not trying to sell you software, and we don't have any product information. We are just a standard structure and format to digitalize and automate the exchange of product data. We are the playbook. We are an open standard, and it is up to the market to use it in day-to-day business. And we will explain later how that is done. So let's talk about classification. Classification is no rocket science. It's not new either. It's easy to explain. We all know what a TV is and what a refrigerator is. And a TV is not a refrigerator. They are different products. And you will need other features to pick the right TV or refrigerator. Anybody can create a taxonomy on their own. But here's the catch. If you have a business that sells TVs and refrigerators from 20 different brands, how will you make sure you get all their product features aligned perfectly into your own ERP system or website? If you are a manufacturer that sells to 20 different wholesalers, how will manufacturers be able to use one product data file for all wholesalers, saving you a ton of work? You will need some form of standardization, right? So when it comes to technical products, classification is even more serious business. You cannot do without standards. Let me show by example. Let's assume you need to buy one of these products that you are shown here, this electrical thing. You can choose between brand A and brand B. This product can be called many things. Earth leakage circuit breaker. That's an older terminology. Or ground fault circuit interrupter. That's the official name according to UL standards. But according to IEC standards, it's called a residual current circuit breaker. And as you can see, both brands use different names, not even the official ones. Then you'll need to figure out if both products are technically fit for your requirements in order to make the right choice, right? You see that brand A uses different names, units, and data types to describe similar characteristics as brand B. One talks about IP class, the other says, oh, yeah, it's not suitable for in watery conditions. Depths are measured in millimeters or inches. You see that short breaking capacity means something similar as rated fault breaking capacity. This is causing confusion. What you see here is two technical similar products with just three similar technical characteristics, which could appear as two completely different products. How can you ever find out if this is the right product for your installation? And you might think, I have nothing to do with electrotechnical stuff. I work in HVAC or construction. However, the same symptoms can be found in many different products, as simple as a building stone. The same stuff all over again. But let's not dive into an abundance of these kind of examples here. But let's explain what we do. Now, what ETIM Product Classification does is it provides a clear structure of standardized product classes. Product family names are given an official name with a list of synonyms that tied into that class name. Each class provides a standard set of features, units of measurement, and optional values. And every class, feature, value, and unit has its own digital ID, and it is tied to translations in several languages. This makes our classification data machine readable and language independent. Yeah. Let's have a look at some examples here. This is what it looks like on our website. And what you get now is like a service level agreement or a service contract that dictates the level of information that is expected to be supplied with these products. It's a consensus achieved within our community of suppliers, wholesalers, and contractors. I will explain later how this process works. As you can see, the product class and its features all have been given an ID number. That's what you see there. It's called code and class code and feature code, unit code. And the same applies to products of any other sector, of course. And tied to the ID number of that class, a complete list of translations and synonyms are being maintained by our community. In the class definition, you can choose the right name in each language, preferred name, while the alternative names can be stored as synonyms. The computer only needs ID codes to understand. This translation work is done by native speakers from the industry. And all these synonyms all add up to increasing findability of the class and the products. So this makes ETIM classification language independent and suitable to share data across borders. Because if we classify this product according to the ETIM classification, we just tie a product class code to our product ID, and then we apply for each feature in the list, we fill in the values. And all these values, they are tied to these codes. And what the computers exchange with each other are these codes and these values, but not any language-dependent description. That makes ETIM classification data machine readable, but it can be converted back into any human language on the place of arrival, as long as somebody maintains these languages. We have about 20 languages now actively being maintained by our community. So ETIM classification provides clarity in finding and choosing the right product. It also brings a lot of opportunities for automation and analysis. And now you see brand A and brand B as two identical products or technically identical products with three exactly identical technical characteristics, and technical compatibility is now verifiable. This opens a lot of opportunity for use cases. And again, it works for all technical industries. Let's have a look at some of the use cases in practice. The first thing to explain is digitalization is built on the fundament of standardization. And because file format and data structure is standardized, it's all made machine readable, off-the-shelf software can integrate ETIM data into their solutions. So ETIM is implemented into many different sorts of software, such as master data management software, product information management, e-commerce platforms, ERP systems, and we even see use cases in billing information modeling. Now, the first and the most important maybe use case is if you would like to buy something at any wholesaler of HVAC and electrical products these days, you easily start with a choice of over 2 million products. 2 million products. Just one little note of order. Please do not try to answer questions during the thing, because I get like a notification in my screen every time something is hit. Maybe if I put the chat on the side, I will get, but we will answer them just later in the presentation. Okay, so 2.4 million products, that's your starting point. How are you going to find your product? So wholesalers, in order to make their sites work, they need standardized file formats for automation of product data uploads. They need standardized structure for search filters, and they need synonyms to serve as keywords in order to make people find it. Remember the messy data exchange I described earlier? Data pools regulate the flow of data from a single source of truth, which is the manufacturer. The manufacturer can just now send one file, everybody can read it, everybody understands it, can upload it with their standard software that has the model integrated. And they also provide, and these data pools, they also provide additional services for safeguarding, improving data quality. They do a bunch of checks on your data to see if your net weight is lower than your gross weight. Otherwise, one of the two is wrong. And they have like hundreds of these kind of things. And they also allow you to search on all products that are on the market. That's a good starting point, right? In many countries, we see that industry and trade associations invest in not-for-profit centralized data pools based on ETIM. There are a bunch of them, and we list them on our website. If you go to About Us and you look into the community directory, you will see a list of those platforms. And that list is growing. But there are also commercial initiatives that provide data syndication based on ETIM. And a large wholesaler's e-commerce platform could also be considered as a data pool. Right about now is when you or some of you might think that classification data allows to compare your premium quality product with cheap, low quality alternatives, hurting your business, like comparing apples with oranges. Well, I can tell from experience, that is not how the customer journey works when buying technical products. A customer first needs to find products that meet the technical requirements from a large pool of products, as I showed you with that wholesaler example. They need to be able to filter on product types, technical features, and they build a short list with products that qualify, that are technically compatible. And ETIM helps streamline that part of the customer journey. From then on, it's brand preference that matters. Perceived quality, value for money, delivery reliability, the sum of all positive customer engagement experiences push towards a buying decision. ETIM is not taking anything away from that. But showing good quality product data is a positive customer engagement experience, mind you. And as I said, wholesalers, they require structured data to make their websites work. So you could be found amongst those 2 million products. And for that, they need properties. So no data makes it very hard for you to make a sale these days. But with ETIM classified product data, you can do so much more, like creating business intelligence cross-sections, BI cross-sections in your sales data. You have your order lines with product IDs, and these product IDs are tied to classification IDs. And therefore, you can create a profile based on a filter built on a collection of ETIM classes and specific feature settings. And that way, you can do all kinds of cross-sections and monitor the turnover and profitability of these groupings. Another strong use case is you could analyze your procurement strategy by making cross-sections on product types based on ETIM codes. You check the number of suppliers, you bring it back down to only a primary source and a secondary source, and you consolidate buying volumes that can be used to renegotiate prices. For instance, where do you buy all your expansion tanks? If you buy them at 6 different manufacturers, then you might have an opportunity to get a better price. And for price and discount management with your customers, why should you use special discount groupings in your ERP system? That's also a classification. Why can't you base it on ETIM classes or collections of ETIM classes? That brings clarity for everyone. So we're almost there. But I still promised you to tell you how we run the standards and how our consensus model is done. Let's have a look at the whole picture here. ETIM International is an association, not for profit. The chapter organizations are its members. You have ETIM Spain, ETIM Netherlands, ETIM France. These are mostly local industry and trade associations or collaborations of multiple of these associations in a country. And the chapter organizations form the General Assembly, from which 7 members are chosen in the board. And the board interacts with the staff office that run the operations on the international level. The staff office validates and processes the change requests made by ETIM members from the various chapter organizations. We are not the experts, by the way. We process the change request based on the classification guidelines. We just make sure and we ensure that due process is followed. Besides that, we organize board meetings, general assembly meetings, technical committee meetings, and we organize promotional events like this webinar. And there are a group of global industry members who are member in several local chapter organizations, but also support ETIM International directly. And therefore, they also have a seat on the international technical committees. ETIM standards are managed by its active users. As I said, we are not the experts. I don't know anything about tile glue or circuit breakers. But I do know how to run a standard. The active users are supported by the industry and trade associations. They are a driving force in the standardization work. Most of the work is done at the level of local chapter organizations. These standards are open to everyone, but if you wish to support it and you would like to have influence on the development and maintenance, you can join a chapter organization as a member if you're not a member already. These organizations provide support in change requests, in translation maintenance, and help to promote the adoption on a local level. Change requests are initiated by local companies that know their products, the applicable local technical standards, and current market trends. And the staff office, as I said, I cannot tell you enough, we are not the experts, we only facilitate the process. So, now that you know it all, why should you adopt? Because everybody wants increased product data quality to lower hidden costs, increase your level of automation, make your work more efficient and easier, to reduce IT development costs because you can use standardized software. And if you're in it for the money, ETIM gets your products shortlisted. If you don't get shortlisted, you don't make the sale. And standards drive on adoption. We strongly believe in an open standard for everyone to use, but open standards are not for free. They need management, maintenance, and development. They need active users who participate. And our operations need a budget. For a relatively small contribution, you can make a large impact to your business and the environment. And in return, you can become part of the ETIM community, which gives you access to a network. You can send in change requests, extended functionalities in our classification management tools and our academy, which is launching in April. And you get tools to test and validate your product data files. And of course, you get support from your local ETIM chapter with all your questions. And we are always backing them up with second line support if needed. But the most important thing is that you help to support the ETIM standards for your own benefits. So that was my presentation for until now. I believe that there are a number of questions. So thank you for your attention so far. And I'm sorry for the people that joined at such late notice. But we recorded this session and we will make sure that we share it with whoever we have the address of. Mark.
Yeah, you want me to introduce the questions to you?
Yes, please.
And first of all, sorry, because I was the one I couldn't refrain from answering the first question. So sorry for
I
that.
know. That's okay. That's okay.
To make up for that, let me answer the first question,
Yeah.
probably. So the first question was if the UNSPSC code was also part of the data that ETIM is classifying. Well, UNSPSC is another classification system. So in ETIM classification, we only categorize products and list the most important technical features. But we also have a standard called ETIM Exchange, and that's the format to exchange the complete product master data. And in that standard exchange, we also have a section for other classifications. And in that section, you can easily communicate UNSPSC codes for your product or E-class codes or whatever classification system there exists in the market as well. So I hope that answers that question. Second question would be for you, Jeroen.
Yeah.
Mark van Lieshout asked, I'll introduce it, that's easier than.
Yeah.
The question is if you will be planning more webinars like this one, providing in-depth information such as how to start with ETIM for suppliers, etc.
Yes. First of all, we will evaluate this event, and I hope that you will provide us with the feedback. And if you allow us to send you like a little survey to see what the reactions are, and from there on, we will propose a couple of follow-up webinars. And I think how to start with ETIM is a story that has not been told enough. We cannot tell that enough because everybody who buys into this idea after this presentation is like, okay, yes, I understand it, but what do I do now? And of course, that would be one of the perfect follow-ups. But for instance, explaining what ETIM Exchange is all about and what the differences are with ETIM Product Classification. And we also have a series running from our colleague Benjamin Schölander about ETIM and building information modeling with the standard ETIM modeling classes, which is also very interesting. But yeah, so there will be a lot to choose from, and we are definitely, if you are all very satisfied with what we have shown so far in our first webinar running on Teams, we can do more, of course. Yes.
Okay, the next question asked by Dirk Dalmuller is, you seem to be quite professional in electrical products. How can one join the technical committee for shower enclosures as a leading manufacturer of those?
Yeah, maybe that's more for you as a technical director, Mark.
Well, one thing you need to understand is that you should be a member of ETIM in your country where you're resident or multiple ETIM countries. So if we would have in the International Technical Committee, if we would have all the companies in the world that are involved in certain products, it would be quite chaotic. So the setup, as was shown before in the schema that Jeroen showed, is that each country has a representative for every sector they are active in. So you as a manufacturer, you should be a member of your local ETIM organization, and they will represent your interest in our International Technical Committee. There is one exception to this. We have in total, we have 8 companies that are a global industry member, and global industry members, they have direct access to the technical committee. So before you start registering as a global industry members, that is, as a global industry member, you need to be at least a member in 5 of the local ETIM countries before you can even apply for that. But don't worry, if you are a member of a local ETIM, they make sure that all your interests are well covered in our technical committees.
Okay.
Well, next question would be for you again from Cedric Pirot. Can we have a demo of the SaaS platform of ETIM to see how the classification system is set?
Yep. Well, that would require understanding what is meant by a software as a service platform, because there are software as a service platforms which are product information management systems or master data management systems. But it could also mean, for instance, a data platform, a data syndication platform, and if you would like, yeah.
Sorry, I just assumed that the requester here was talking about our classification management tool, or...
Yeah, that could also be the case. When it comes to the classification management tool, it has a lot of features and it has a lot of details, which I didn't want to share at this moment because we don't want to scare people away with a lot of technical details. But we can do a follow-up on just that platform classification management tool, because it has a lot of cool features that probably a lot of people don't know about. But yeah, we could do that, and we can definitely set ourselves up for that in a follow-up webinar.
Okay, I think I'll take the next question then. The question here is, in which frequency is ETIM updating the classification of products when published new standards establishing a common data dictionary by IAC? As example, a new standard will come as IAC 63243, ED1 CDD database, cable trace system, and cable ladder systems. I assume that you are asking that if there's a new technical standard by IAC, EN, or ISO, if we automatically update the classification with in accordance with this new standard. The question is, or the answer would be, we don't do that automatically. As Jeroen explained, we are managing the classification system. We can't, the four of us, we can't be an expert in all the products that are over 6,000 ETIM classes are covering. But the way it should work is that if you are a manufacturer or a supplier that's involved in these products, you should mention, or you should inform your local ETIM organization about this, and they should be the liaison to give this input into our classification management system and ask for change requests. So there's a clear role for the local ETIM members in this. We can't automatically follow all the technical standards that are released.
Yeah.
Hoping that is clear.
But as you said, the answer is actually yes. We will eventually adapt to any standard, because all the technical features that you can find are related to standards. But yeah, we're not the experts, but our users are, and users, they come up with these change requests.
I wanted to use the German word "jein" here. So yes, we
yes
update,
no.
but no, it's not automatically. Someone needs to tell us.
Yeah. That also accounts for a digital product passport. I was trying to avoid that word because we hear it like on a daily basis at the moment. But yeah, the digital product passport system is built on standards like ETIM. They need ETIM to create that, or to share the information. So next question.
The next question, and for now the last question in the chat, is what are the new features or new standards to come with ETIM 11? You can choose if you would like to answer that, or you want to leave it to me.
Well, that's also a yes and no answer, actually, or it's hard to answer. It depends what you're looking for. We're not throwing away the structure, or but
If the
If you look
question
at,
is related to actual new features, product features, then the easy answer is just look at our classification management tool, and you can all the time you can follow exactly what the change requests are that are active for certain products. So you can also see how we are building up from ETIM 10 to ETIM 11. If new features means that we add new stuff to the system, like feature groups that we lit last time. At this point, there is nothing new in a way of structural new features that is planned yet.
yeah. Okay. I also realized that we did not answer Jose Montesino's question in full because the question starts with in which frequency? In which frequency?
I took the question related to the technical standards. So the ETIM system updates every 2 years with a fixed version. Aside from that, we have a dynamic version where approved changes can be are released on a daily basis. So our ETIM version updates every 2 years. So ETIM 11 is 2 years after ETIM 10.
Yeah, but if needed, you can tap into all the latest approved features. Yeah. Okay. Can I answer that one?
Yes, please.
What's the difference or advantage or disadvantage of having a dynamic or non-dynamic version? Yeah, it's just a part of your culture and character and personal character. Would you like stability in your system? Then you use a dynamic or non-dynamic versions, the fixed releases. You have an update every 2 years, but yeah, if you I always use the example of shower equipment. A couple of years ago, a black shower equipment became very, very popular, and everybody want to have shower taps in black. So manufacturers want to have the color black into the classification system. So that's great. But if you decide on having black shower equipment, and we just released the latest version, you have to wait 2 years until you can use it. That's that nobody wants that. So, and there a dynamic version comes into play because that's the latest release plus all the approved RFCs since then. So that's just a matter of how you use it.
Just as an addition to that, if you go to our website, etiminternational.com, and you go to download area, there's a specific memo that explains on ETIM dynamic release and also focuses a bit on the pros and cons of that.
Yeah.
So that's it's a PDF you can download. Just before we move on, you missed one question by Remy Ferreira. And as you are the DPP man, you would need to answer that one.
I mentioned the DPP, yes. Is there a standardized mapping roadmap to link ETIM features to mandatory DPP data points, such as recycled content of carbon footprint? Recycled content of carbon footprint, that's a vague description, because first you have to know, is that a percentage-wise, is it a weight-wise thing, or and it applies to all the products, such as weight, also applies to all the products, or so there are properties that are very product specific. They belong in an ETIM class, product class, and there are data points that account for all the products, and those belong in our ETIM exchange standard. And in the ETIM exchange standard, we have a very well thought through part on environmental data. And we could also do a webinar on specifically the environmental parts, where you can provide all that kind of information. Also, the legislative stuff for hazardous materials and all these strange codes. I can't name a couple of. I only know WE code and what are the rows, and they are there. But we could also include complete EPD, LCA EPD data. So the full matrix of all these impact indicators according to their use phase that can be shared with the exchange file. So we are on top of that, and we also already included the PPWR regulations for packaging waste. That's also part of the DPP system, as I understand. So we're setting ourselves up to be fully compatible. And yeah, from then on, it's also waiting for special regulations. As you know, there is only one regulation becoming effective soon, and that's the battery regulation. And I know that construction products regulation is being revised as we speak. So those kind of regulations are being looked at by our community. We're not doing it because we're just with a couple of people trying to organize all the meetings and make sure that the processes run. But the input has to come from the community, and that's why we ask for your support. It's not only about money; it's the man hours are maybe even more important, or women hours. So I hope I was able to answer that correctly. Do we have anything more?
There's one more question left, which was linked to one of the previous questions, and I had a look at it quickly, but I'm not really sure if I can give a good answer to that one. How ETIM plans to reuse or use or reuse data dictionaries that will store essential characteristics, properties defined by HEN, HDS, harmonized standards from SEN for declaration of performance and conformity. It's a very broad question. I mean, we've got. I think that if it's product related and it falls within the scope of ETIM, we will be looking at putting it into ETIM classification or as a field in Exchange. But it's hard to give an answer without knowing exactly what you mean here. Maybe what we didn't address today is that we also have the complete ETIM classification as part of Building Smart Data Dictionary. So by doing that, we can also link ETIM to further, more detailed specifications from other standards.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm not sure if that answers your question completely.
Yeah, but we would be happy to discuss this idea further, but just throw us a direct message. So, yeah, I think we're done with all the questions right now. Yes, we will send. Well, we will not send it in an email as an attachment, but we will make sure that we will provide a download link for the recording, so that everybody who came late to the party is able to follow the whole story. So, I have no idea, Mr. Vogelsang, what AAS is.
I think AAS is the Asset Administration Shell, but if I'm correct, that would be isn't that E-Class's own system, or is it related to 8 or Industry 4.0?
I don't know. Sure. And I think for the scope of this for this session, it's maybe too detailed. But yeah, drop us an email and we'll make an appointment and discuss it in further. I'd be happy to discuss and learn more about that. And one of our yeah, AAS is used for DPP. ETIM is also used for DPP. Many things are used for DPP. So yeah.
If we have a better answer, we'll send it to you by email, which I assume we have.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, thank you, everybody. And we'll follow up on this. And I hope you all enjoyed it. And it was working like it should. And then we'll come back to you with another webinar soon. And if you would like to follow this webinar again, but live, we have a new date set for this same exact webinar on the 22nd of April at 8 o'clock at night, Central European time, just to accommodate people overseas in the North Americas, so they don't have to get up so early next time. So yeah, you could consider that. Watch our LinkedIn page, follow us on LinkedIn, and we'll update you with a form so that you can learn about that. Thank you.
Thank you from me as well. Have a good evening.
Yep. Bye bye.